Welcome back to Crit and Crit. I'm Axion,
I'm Sent.
and we are continuing our way through Final Fantasy V and Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix.
Are we supposed to be doing that?
Unless our plans have severely changed since we last spoke, yeah.
But are we really supposed to be doing that? Was it meant to be?
So yes, we are talking today about the concept of destiny, fate, the chosen one, all of that fun stuff. And I believe there was a little more to this, Sint.
Yep, but we'll get into that as we, go through our discussion on the Chosen One. Which is a very, 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 very common narrative cliche slash archetype slash role. Some vague prophecy or whatever has made it clear that only this person under this circumstance can do the thing. And therefore, they will do the thing, people will help them do the thing, and there will be people who do not want them to do the thing. And how many times can I say do the thing?
Do the thing!
But yes. So, one of the major plot points that we discover here in Order of the Phoenix is the fact that there was a specific reason that Voldemort targeted Harry when Harry was an infant. Specifically, Sybil Trelawney had a vision. One of only two known actual prophecies she has given over the course of her career. The second one being that Pettigrew was going to escape and rejoin his master. The first, and the reason she was hired at Hogwarts at all, was this one. That a boy born at the end of summer, or end of July, I don't remember which, to parents who had thrice escaped Voldemort would be Voldemort's downfall. So, Harry, born to the Potters, who had defied and escaped Voldemort 3 times, at the end of July, was targeted, and due to shielding of love and so on and so forth, his killing curse backfired on the child and basically destroyed Voldemort's body, and would have killed anyone else for reasons we'll discover in a later book, but that's not important right now. So, because the prophecy said it, that neither could live while the other survives, Voldemort decided, I'm going to take the kid out while he's a kid and can't do anything about me, and oopsie doodle, that didn't work so well.
I hear puppy.
I think there was a cat across the street. Anyway, so Voldemort heard the prophecy and made the decision to act on it, which you can debate because if it was prophesied to happen, did he actually choose? And we do actually get the answer. Yes, he did. Because, well, there were 2 people to whom the prophecy could have applied. Because Neville Longbottom's parents had also defied Voldemort 3 times and had their child at the end of the summer.
Dun dun dun!
So, the prophecy, on its face, could have applied equally to either of the boys. And according to Dumbledore, by deciding that it was Harry, Voldemort made sure that it was Harry. Harry, had Voldemort chosen differently, could have gone through his life normally. Had his parents, never been the Chosen One, never had to live up to the pressure of being the Chosen One, which puts an incredible burden on a child. Or really anyone. if let's again, the most evil wizard in recent memory is back amassing an army and planning to take over the wizarding world, and or most likely and massacre or enslave any muggle-born creature that gets in their way. You alone have the ability to put a stop to it. No pressure, huh?
Good luck!
Now, put this on a child. And this is when we learn that this is why Dumbledore has been so tight-lipped about things over the course of the entire series. He's dangled hints here and there at Harry, but he's never actually outright said things until now. Because when he wanted to bring it up was back during Chamber of Secrets, when Harry had first had encountered Voldemort's ghost in the diary, or memory, or whatever we're going to call it until we get the actual name for it later. But he decided it was too big of a burden for someone that young. So he kept Harry in the dark for a few more years. And yeah. Basically left everything to fester and boil over until we got Sirius killed. And then explained this to Harry later. And Harry is actually relieved for a moment, but just a moment, because he thinks, well, if it could have applied to Neville, does that mean... No. The instant he went after you, you two have been inextricably connected. It is you, there is no doubt. He made sure of that. But this is what we call a self-fulfilling prophecy. Voldemort was afraid he would be defeated because of this child, so by going after him, he was defeated. There's a lot of them like that. I'm so afraid that this will happen that I'm going to avoid it. Like, there's the tale of Death going to meet someone in Damascus. Have you heard that one?
I have, but the audience may have not. You may want to go ahead and tell it anyway.
Alright, so a man is at his house and his chief steward comes up to him and looks terrified because, well, what happened? Well, I saw Death in the marketplace. Can I borrow your horse? I will escape. And I'm going to escape my death and ride to Damascus. So they ride off, and Death meets them there. But what's going on? I saw you earlier, and you raised your hand at me. Yes, says Death, because I was surprised. I was surprised to see you there because I had an appointment with you here tonight. They would not have been there if they had not been trying to escape Death.
Dun, dun, dun.
So yeah, this is the idea that some things will only happen if you basically try to avoid them, or it's going to happen no matter what you do. But basically, your actions make it happen. You, for whatever reason, your choices set off the butterfly effect or domino effect or whatever you want to call it that make this inevitable. And we see this a few times. We have whether or not Harry or Neville will be the one to oppose Voldemort, which Dumbledore finds interesting because, as mentioned, the Longbottoms are a long-standing pureblood family. Harry's mother was Muggle-born. So Voldemort, who was himself not fully pureblood, went after the half-blood like himself, seeing that as the greater threat. Which is interesting, because with all the rhetoric he spends, you would think he would choose the pureblood.
Yep, and yet, here we are.
Yep, it's almost like sometimes people with these overtly fascist ideologies do not practice what they preach and just are aware that what they have to tell their followers is complete pocky.
Well, the entire ideology is built around power, and the idea that one can use one's power to enforce their will. That includes making exceptions for themselves or others they approve of, even when their dogma, for lack of a better word, would otherwise insist they are unfit. To draw on the overly obvious example, Hitler championed the Aryan race, But Hitler was not a tall, blonde, blue-eyed Nordic person. He was a short, stout, brown-haired, brown-eyed man with a pudgy figure.
Right. So the other instance we have of the self-fulfilling prophecy over the course of this comes to us via Voldemort's occlumency. He planted a vision in Harry's head of Sirius in mortal danger. Harry absolutely lost his mind and panicked, and runs off to go save Sirius, which causes Sirius to come to Harry and company's rescue, which gets him killed. If Harry had not done that, had stopped, thought about it, trusted Snape as a fellow member of the Order of the Phoenix, and therefore verified the information before sprinting off with checking with Creature, who he already knew was not a good source in many ways, his godfather would still be alive. But, as mentioned, Harry has something of a hero complex, which Hermione called him on. Voldemort played on that, and played him like a fiddle.
Hey, a black chocobo.
So, this is basically all to raise the idea of how much does free will count if so much of what you have to work with is unavoidable? Or is it unavoidable? Does it just feel that way based on hindsight? Because, well, we know that Sirius's death could have been avoided, just because we know more about the situation and characters involved. But we don't really see too much to do with prophecies. We've only ever seen the two from Trelawney. We don't know what was in all of the other prophecies kept in the Ministry of Magic. We don't know how accurate divination can be a lot of the time, since all we really see is in the divination class, and basically we see that any student that doesn't already buy into it tends to treat it as, I guess we're here now, and not take it seriously at all. So we don't really have a clear gauge on how accurate it is, and we know that even Dumbledore doesn't really take it seriously, because he tells us that he was actually considering removing it from the curriculum until he hired Trelawney. So, yeah. How reliable are these prophecies? Is it guaranteed that Harry or Neville would be the only one able to defeat Voldemort if Voldemort hadn't acted? Could somebody else have managed it? Could something else have happened? That's kind of a source for endless speculation, and it's gonna come down to just how accurate and how guaranteed are the predictions that the Harry Potter world works with. And I wish we had more of a sample size to work with to compare, because if on the one hand they're saying divination is such a niche thing that we don't really need to be teaching our kids, but on the other hand, the Ministry sees them as important enough that we need to keep a very tightly secured record of every major prophecy ever made. Which is it?
It seems to be somewhere halfway between, because the Ministry still clearly takes these takes the prophecy seriously, because they keep them stored, they keep them protected, locked down. They are clearly intending that these be regarded with some level of respect. On the other hand, most society disregards prophecy as, well, basically they treat it how we treat it in real life. There's a handful of people who are surprisingly trustworthy of it and reliant on it, but most people see it as a hokey thing like horoscopes and palm readings and things like that, and treat it with about that much respect. We definitely see that with, like, especially with Hermione, with the way she reacted to divination in book 3, when they first started taking it, and how she kind of disregarded everything because it was basically more about feel than about practicality and repeatable science and things like that. And Hermione clearly had an issue with that because of how, well, one, she's just not that kind of person, and she couldn't really make the magic work for her as a result.
Yep.
Which I
Divination
sympathize.
is very, very, very open to interpretation, and Hermione is very, very, very analytical and works much more on the science side of things than on the humanities side of things. So, in that sense, this feels a little bit like saying English is not worth your time if you're doing anything more complex than grammar and just outright writing. Literary analysis is a little too overhead, blah 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 blah, which is kind of ironic for the focus of our channel. But there's so much reliance and expectation that people are able to work within the bounds of divinatory magic in the Harry Potter world, while they still use it as a punchline of what are you ever going to do with this. I'm so glad I learned how to read tea leaves and also interpret Frankenstein in school. But I think we strayed a bit off of the idea of how good is it to rely on divination when we're not really sure how seriously everybody has to take it for it to function, and also how ironclad are these prophecies. Because Dumbledore certainly seems to think that Trelawney's prediction about Voldemort and Harry is ironclad, that the two are destined to destroy each other. One of them must kill the other for this conflict to come to an end. And does it matter if that's inaccurate when Harry and Voldemort both believe it and therefore will work in accordance to the prophecy? How much does accuracy matter if circumstances set you up to basically make it happen regardless?
Question that really can only be answered by the participants themselves.
Yep, and we know Voldemort is currently trying to kill Harry. He's made a couple attempts he's made at least one attempt at killing Harry as, more of an adult than he was. And Harry is very concerned with being able to stand up against Voldemort. So we know that as far as the participants in the prophecy are concerned, it is real, and it is their responsibility to see it through, one way or another. Voldemort's been working with it longer than Harry has, for sure. Because Harry just found out about it. With that in mind, you can probably say it's more accurate, because Harry was going to stand up to Voldemort, prophecy or no prophecy. But now that there has been the prophecy explained to him, it's easy to feel trapped, that you have no choice. Because really, don't. You were already chosen, that choice was taken away from you. And... yeah. So you do have to wonder if it would have given him an easy life if Neville had been chosen instead, because as we've seen, Neville has not had it that easy. Neville's magic has been rather slow to bloom, and we know what happened to his parents. He, in some regards, might as well have been orphaned because his parents are not capable of being emotionally there for him. They're hospitalized. And from what we can see, from what little we can see of them, they would like to be there for him. They're just
incapable.
Not. Yes. So, who really got off better there? Harry was basically getting pressed into being the chosen one, but Neville is coming into his own as a pretty formidable young wizard in his own right, who's had just as rough a life as Harry. So, yeah.
And that's kind of how things are painted going forward. Neville is starting to come into his own as he gets older and finds niches that he works better in. Which is good for him, honestly. But, Harry is also starting to discover his own, well, destiny, not just as much determined by prophecy and just as it is by his and Voldemort's descriptions, or decisions, not descriptions, his and Voldemort's decisions and the fallout of those choices. At this point, Voldemort's actions may have been influenced and persuaded by the prophecy, but the actions themselves are the results of his choices to do so. And he has made the decision as a free moral agent to take the prophecy at face value and act accordingly. And at this point, does it really matter if the prophecy is true or not? Because the end result is essentially the same, that Voldemort has believed it and is responding accordingly. At this point, whether it's true or not, Harry and his companions still have to respond as if it was true, because Voldemort is treating it as true, and they have to react to his behavior. True or not at this point doesn't change the fact that Voldemort himself is behaving as if it is true, and the things that the prophecy says are going to come to pass, he is actively trying to make come to pass. At this point, prophecy or no prophecy, this is how things are. Wrong person.
So I suppose in the end, prophecy mostly just comes down to just another form of motivation. Because, well, this wouldn't be the first time we have seen a prophecy turn against someone. If you attack an empire will fall. Unfortunately, they meant your empire, so good job. I don't remember where that applies, but just an example of the prophecy don't always mean what you think it do. Macbeth is another famous one of it being very much turned against you. No man or woman born shall harm Macbeth, and Macbeth shall not fall until Birnam Wood do come to Dunsinane. Those both found ways of coming true. So, just because you think you understand the prophecy doesn't mean it actually is going to work as your shield. Which Voldemort already discovered once when he was destroyed when he fought Harry. Took a long time to come back from that one. But going forward, they're now essentially equally informed on the matter, and now both are actually knowledgeably working in accordance with the prophecy, which will no doubt shape how things are going to look in the future. But time will tell, and I'm not really sure what else I have to add.
That's about a decent place to wrap it up.
Until next time.
See you then.